And welcome to the League of Anarchy Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 2, right? I guess this would be Episode 1, Season 2, or technically it's our 17th episode. And we haven't been together for a while. We wanted to get together to start discussing the new season. And we ended up with 5 of us, 5 out of 12. So there's 7 people that didn't commit, but if I'm not mistaken, 5 for our first meeting is probably high, right? I mean, very rarely do we end up with more. And I think last year we had 4 of us showed up.
Yeah.
And now we're virtually on, so anyone could actually be here and still be at their own house. And obviously that didn't happen. So welcome everybody. I hope you've had a 2 good months of sitting home and studying fantasy football since we can't do anything else. It is, I will say that it's for people, I don't know, anyone's going to listen to this later on, but this is during the pandemic. Are any of you, I'm working still. Mago, I think you're working, right?
Yeah, I'm working.
I'm working from home.
Working from home. TJ, you're working. You're out there doing the thing. And TJ's son, you're a teacher, so you're teaching from the
interweb.
How's that going? That seems as a teacher to be a quick learning curve. Now, maybe because you're younger, you grasp it quicker. I can imagine a lot of 40, 50-year-old. I can imagine Dana going, I'm going to do what? I can't imagine Dana teaching health or sex ed from his home on a microphone.
Via
YouTube. I would like to see a recording of that, to be real honest.
Well, honestly, just talk to him, and he said that's what they're in right now is the part of sex ed, and he's trying to do that over the internet, which he said is not cool.
Right. Well, half the kids are watching him, the other half are watching porn.
Yeah.
So they're probably already ahead of the game there. That's kind of
just go to Pornhub.
And Mago, lift up your goblet there. You are drinking from the official goblet. Yeah, there you go. Find the camera. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It does keep beer cold. I mean, I'm not saying I ever did it. I was told it would. So
you drank out of it before I did, didn't you?
I washed it. I had to make sure. I am a past champion. I figured I deserve the right.
Well, that's why he didn't win it this year. It's because he touched it and he drank out.
I know. I probably did. I probably put bad luck on it.
He's never going to win again. Is what will happen.
Yeah.
You guys wish I never win again. We haven't been able to get together at the bar because again, the bar that we in our neighborhood that me and Mega live in has been closed. Pretty much.
That sucks really bad.
We will eventually get there, so it'll be fun. I don't know what we plan on really talking about other than just getting together. Because like I said, I think what the last show we did was just maybe the week after the Super Bowl. When I say Super Bowl, our fantasy football Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I think the first thing is, did we decide, are we going to go with the dual commissioners to help Clay out? Were we gonna put that in the chat or on the league thing and vote on it? Because I would assume that's something that needs to be done fairly quickly. Or
does that need voted on, or is that just something I can decide? I'm just honestly asking.
I think we originally talked about if anybody wanted to volunteer or anybody wanted to nominate themselves, we'd allow that.
Mm-hmm.
Clay already talked and just said, Mark, why don't you just be the second guy and we're done?
To me, it just makes the most sense. You're the only one that shows up every time for this kind of stuff. You're the most vocal in, the league as well as the Facebook Messenger. That's the whole point of doing it, is just to have someone in case I'm busy. I don't want to bring someone else in that, not that no one's committed to the league, but someone that is less active than I am. So why not just, I don't know. It just makes sense. And you've run leagues before, you and me. I mean, we're usually on the same page.
Now I'm not like I'm selling myself one right there. I agree with all that, but it's still a league where people need to kind of, if anybody really objects to it or whatever, I
guess I would say, can I just basically nominate you? And if anyone has a problem with it, then we'll, take it from there. But I have no problem just going forward and declaring it that way.
I don't have a problem.
And we like yelling at you too, Mark. So
Yeah,
I figured that's right. It's another reason for me to be in trouble.
Hey, you don't back down from anybody, so I think it's a good position for you.
Well, and to be honest, I think the other thing that kind of helps a little bit is me and Clay get along, but me and Clay have had different opinions too, which I think is good. Meaning we're not just going to side. We're not just going to, agree 100% all the time either. So, which I'm not saying that's good or bad, but it just means, we're open for discussion.
It will be nice for small stuff to where that doesn't need to be taken to a vote, but I sometimes feel guilty if I'm the one making the sole decision on, and everyone comes after me. If it's you and me decide together to make a decision and then just tell everyone, I think people will be more understanding to that than just me declaring something.
But actually, that's the downfall of this. Having Clay to aggravate over any decision, though, now that,
Yeah, but for the league, it's better because they have me and you to aggravate.
Well,
the league as a whole will enjoy it more.
That is what's nice about this league, though. Everyone gave everyone shit. I don't think anyone's ever out of it. But also, like you said, it's one of those things where you don't have to worry about it, where if something major happens at the last minute, there's two options. Somebody can text to try to get something switched or changed or whatever. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. If you guys are, and then put it out there, and if someone has a major problem, we'll discuss it, and then we're done. And then and I think on ESPN when they open the league, it's just a matter of you selecting me, and you can I think you can just automatically even put on there, co-commissioner, and then
I'm pretty sure I have it, because I think in the beginning, the first year I did it, I had Dally in there with me just because I didn't know what I was doing, so he kind of helped me. But then after that, I took over.
Right. All right. Any of you three have an issue or question or concern, or don't give a shit?
I like it. I think it's good with you taking it over. So I'm fine with that.
I'm not opposed.
Hold on, just be clear. Mark's not taking it over. We're just sharing it now. I'm still very much involved. Don't let this go to Mark's head.
It really just comes down to two people will have the ability to make little changes. Two people will be able to. Yeah. So
I get it. I said it wrong.
No, I didn't want to go to Mark's head thinking he's now in charge, because that's not.
Well, no, right? No, that would be a step down anyway. I was already convinced I was in charge.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to give you a title. That's the problem.
That's how Mark starting the revolution. He's just like, I'll share the power with you, and then
I know.
Give it 2 years. And
I gotta say, I give Clay credit, because actually people don't realize if you commission a league where people are involved, it's more work than you think. Actually, the easiest leagues to commission are the ones where people aren't doing shit, or half of them aren't involved, or people just, don't even chat or talk. Those are pretty easy, because there's, it's actually leagues like this are a little bit harder just because people are going to do stuff.
Well, because
people are paying attention, Clay, right? You can't, everyone knows everything at some point. Once the league starts, you can't do anything without someone questioning it or.
Well, that just starting the league is the biggest nightmare. I have to individually text someone, not just a group chat, because no one ever responds in that. I have to go to each individual person and hunt them down until I get a yes or no answer from them. Right. So having, if we can take now this list and split it between you and me and say, hey, you're responsible for these people, I'm responsible for them. Make sure we're on the same page for dates, draft date, all that kind of stuff. That alone will take a huge weight off my shoulders.
Right. I agree. I think, and it just helps the league, at the long, if something does happen, like I said, Clay, if you're just not available, or you're raising a kid and you say, hey, next year, I don't want to be involved. I'm not saying that will happen, but you don't have to worry about somebody taking the ball and leaving, meaning the league should keep moving forward regardless now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think going on, we just need to always do that. Even if one of us leave, obviously I would say the league needs it written down that, there should always be commissioners or co-commissioners. So
I agree with that.
The next thing we discussed, I think Clay put it in there, and that was, when should the trading start? Yeah. The other league I'm involved in, that's pretty, it's a league with podcast people and all that. We have decided, we've locked the league until we know for a fact that the NFL is going to go off and that the schedule is going to be the same, because we didn't feel that people should be making trades or doing things right now that may not even, something that might not even take place. So is that something you got? I mean, I think in the past we pretty much opened. In the past, we really only been doing the keeper stuff for a few years, but I think in the past we've just kind of opened the league pretty much as soon as ESPN allowed us to open it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's after the draft takes place.
Yeah, it didn't matter one way or the other. I just wanted it declared like, hey, this is when we can start, just because now that people understand trading draft picks, trading keepers, that kind of stuff, I didn't want people just like, oh yeah, we made a deal and no one knows. Like, or, I wanted to be at this date. It's open season now and trading again.
Right.
So yeah, I'm fine whenever. I'm fine keeping a lock on it too until we have a better understanding of, what's happening with the league. But
anybody else have an issue with when we would start opening the league for trades or all that?
I'm kind of for kind of what you said, just once we figure out more of an exact date of when things are kicking off, because obviously things are still up in the air and who knows how much longer it will be.
Well, because right, especially to me, what might seem like an equal trade, and then what you find out, because someone's, going to do something, and then you find out whether the league's going to start for 6 months or who knows. I mean, the NFL is the one thing that right now technically hasn't changed or doing, they're on pace to, with the draft and everything, just to continue on. Now, but I think they've closed all the offices. I don't think they're going to be doing some of the early training camp stuff. But
they just declared they're doing it virtually. They're going to set up something.
The draft
somehow.
is going to be.
They're doing OTAs as well virtually.
I don't know how to do that. I mean, those are
going to send out workout.
And,
I know they're going to send out workout plans to all their players and do it online. I was reading something about it. I think yesterday. I don't know how it will work, but that's what they're
definitely going to be an interesting season. Now, I know people who are listening to this to be a real podcast. I quickly, as a fantasy person, will question. I'm not a big rookie guy anyway. This definitely makes rookies less on my radar.
But in a way that it will make our league interesting because of keepers, because they will be drafted later, I think. And you could end up writing a guy for, you get a solid running back that would probably go in the 8th, 10th round, get him in the 16th round now.
Is Joe Burrow a high fantasy prospect? Where does a guy like Joe Burrow fall? If he gets taken first by the Bengals in a fantasy league, is he a 12th round guy?
No, he's an 18th because they don't have any receivers.
Yeah,
he's just saying it's Bengal. I'm not a rookie guy.
But I'm saying, how long do you wait to take a shot on Joe Burrow if he's really as good as they say he is going to be?
I wait till maybe the 3rd week of the season when somebody drafted him, dropped him, and then maybe he's doing better than they think. I won't draft him. So, but
yeah, unless he like Kyle Murray and Lamar Jackson, people like that who had the running ability to really
but even they didn't have great first years.
Kyle Murray was top 10.
And neither one were drafted high in fantasy.
I took Murray. I could see him going mid-round, but I'm saying because he doesn't have that running capability like those players, he's not as valuable. Like he can just, if something play breaks down, he can just scramble away.
And I'll put another thing into it right now. Andy Dalton is still a Bengal.
Yeah.
So that would also, and I really don't think he will be opening day, but it also, if it still would keep me from, if I wouldn't draft him because of that either at this point. If luckily, which I would assume, we're far from that. If the league, I shouldn't say that. I would assume if the league goes off as normal, are we going to try to pretty much do our normal Labor Day weekend type draft, which is usually a week before the season, something like that?
Yeah.
I'm honestly going to need it. I'm going to need it more like that this upcoming season, because unfortunately now with everything being pushed back, I'll be out of the state till through the 3rd week of August. So
always having to change the draft.
It's not like you haven't drafted shitty teams without being there before.
Hey, I was the most open person last season. Apparently, everybody else only had 1 week.
Congratulations, DJ. You were available 1 year. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, 1 year.
No, that was my second live draft.
When it comes to when we're doing things, I've never. You just say when the draft is, and I'm there.
We'll see. It's different now. If you're going to co-commission, you have to help me figure this shit out. Instead of it's the same thing of figuring out the days that work.
But I think we have always. I think last year's the first year we didn't do it the Sunday of Labor Day, right? We waited the week. We went one more week.
Just because it wasn't. There were people that couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So
and Andrew Luck decided he didn't want to play football. So
yeah,
that's right. That was because of Andrew Luck that we.
It was like a week or two before Labor Day that we did it.
Yeah,
right?
We did it. I think we did it a week before. Which I'm still for that. I still believe we should draft. We've had this argument over and over. And especially with keepers and more trade involvement, I like getting the season started, So now, there's people that question the injury thing. My argument always is injuries are random. It doesn't matter if you draft the day before the season, your number one guy can get injured, or you can draft 4 weeks before and he can get injured. It's just still random. So
I think there'll be a lot more injuries this year too. If they don't get into training camp right away.
Yeah.
I think that the season will have a lot of people getting injured early on.
Yeah. There's 3 or 4 guys, I feel like big name guys, that tear their ACL in week 3 of the preseason and they're done and everybody's already drafted.
Mm-hmm. So
that's part of it. No, I don't.
But that's my point.
No, I think that's
guys
more,
get hurt in week 1 and 2. I mean, that's my thing. It's still part, and we've had this argument. I mean, no one wants their number 1 or 2 guy getting injured, but unfortunately, I'd say this: Brody's proven a couple of years in a row that you can suck at your first round draft pick
and get second place
and still get to the Super Bowl. I mean that, and especially with keepers, and you got people and which. Another quick question: are we keeping the keeper number the same, or will that go up again next year? We're at 4 for this year, but does it go up to 5 next year? Which means if we do, are we changing the roster number again?
Well, again, that's something that we vote on at the league.
Okay.
I think, and we can do that during today, kind of, if people have it. It doesn't have to be, final after this. But if anyone has any considerations for rule changes or new additions that they want to, want considered that we can kind of ponder over, so that when we get to our league meeting, we can actually vote on possible rule changes. Just an idea for later on tonight. But yeah, I had always originally thought for 4 keepers. If we want to keep going, though, I'm up for it. If we have a majority vote on that. Personally.
I would have agreed to you until the new rule for next season will come into place, which is we're going to have 1 more fantasy week. So if we're going to have 1 more fantasy week, I feel we should open the roster at least 1 more spot, and then obviously go to a 5 keeper, because they're going to you're going to have the extra game, so you'll be able to play all the way till week 14 instead of 13 starting next season, right?
I also think I would consider opening up another IR spot, because just an extra week will result in possibly more injuries, or just a longer season. Who knows?
I will
so
say
an extra IR spot might be considered as well.
I will say this about the IR spot. I like that. And I got hosed last year at the end of the year when I took the team over with my whole quarterback situation, when I had a quarterback on the IR and you can only have 2 quarterbacks. I like the fact that we do it. You're strictly a 2 quarterback league. Unless people want to change that, because it really put me in a situation where
it makes you make moves.
It also stops people from hoarding, because we originally didn't have that, and I think Brody hoarded quarterbacks one year.
That doesn't sound like him.
People, their second quarterback, they didn't have a spot for it. No one could have 2 quarterbacks because someone hoarded all the quarterbacks. So that was the other reason.
I love the extra IR spot, but because that made me think about the quarterback.
Now, but now that being said, if a quarterback is on your IR, he doesn't count as a quarterback. You actually could have 3 quarterbacks if you had him on your IR spot.
No, I was trying to bring him back into play.
Right. That means you have to drop another quarterback. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, what sucks is when you have to bring him back because they say they're now questionable. Yeah. That's the worst part. You're like, he's questionable, which means I have to bring him back, but he may not even play.
Well, they're not going to play.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they said they're doubtful, but they're still 2 weeks out from playing.
Yeah, it makes it hard, but I do think it makes the strategy. But that's also why we're technically not a 2-quarterback league. It's a super flex.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to have that second quarterback in that spot. So it does give you flexibility there too.
Yeah.
I'm personally not an IR guy. So my argument would be, I don't mind that we have the one because we've always had it, but I'd rather add one roster because my argument is
I was saying one roster and one IR.
IR spot, which I think is a player who pays a lot of attention, I take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it makes players who don't know what they're doing, and when I mean players, I mean fantasy owners, it's just a quick, easy, simple thing for them to use without much thought. And it makes it easier where if they don't have that IR spot and they actually have to do roster manipulation, meaning do I keep the injured guy or not? I just think it's another chance for somebody to make a mistake, but I mean, it wouldn't matter to me, but my point would be, but to me, before we draft, we have to know the following year what we're going to do with keepers.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that if you're drafting for that fifth keeper or a bigger roster spot.
Yeah, anything we do keeper wise would be for the following year because everyone already made trades and stop making trades because they
It's already for this.
Keepers,
right. This year can't change.
Yeah, I would be open to moving to 5 because of like you said, the extra week as well. But yeah, and an additional roster bench spot as well because there's going to be more injuries. Just that extra week with no extra bye will be
right.
And
I think we already talked about the other thing in our league that kind of this year just got mixed up, but I think the trade deadline needs to be at a midnight time, not a noon. We've already talked about that. And again, we need to discuss that. Are we going to, the trade deadline now with keepers, should it be changed? A couple of people thought it should have gone another week longer, but I think that's just because the way we were so competitive this year and so many people were still in it, that nobody was willing to dump players, but it made it harder.
Everything's going to get pushed back at least 1 week because of the again, for next year.
That's next year. This year, nothing will change. And we've always had the cutoff has always been the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. But then this year that got screwed up. But
hey, I was in it until the week before the deadline. Now
everybody was except for who ended up last.
Kyle.
Yeah,
Kyle
was pretty much.
Don't say that though; he'll get mad.
Speaking of which, did we ever get a toe ring?
That's actually a good question.
That is a good question. Happened. We have Goblet, but we will have some kind of toe ring before draft day. Let's go that route.
We don't need to forget about this.
Or do we just? we have it at draft day, and he has to just wear it through the draft.
He definitely has to do that anyway.
Yeah,
we present it to him at
draft day.
Yeah, and he's got to wear like some sort of sandals at the.
No, he just takes his shoe off. He's got to go for it.
It's got to be visible.
And I do believe that we didn't mention. I do think the guy who wears the toe ring. I think his team name should be Toe Ring. I just think it should be. We just should all know.
Well, I mean, he already had it at the end of the year.
Yeah, I know. Like him and Kevin were changing their name back and forth. Battle that toe ring.
Mine was avoiding the toe ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he was embracing it. So.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. Was there any major rules? I think we kind of went through that once. There was really not much that I recall.
If someone had something that they thought would improve the league to present it, and then we can vote on it.
Right.
Just it's whatever it might be, if something you do in another league or something you didn't like about our league.
But the advantage I think now of having this podcast or just the way that we're having our meetings now like this, in the past we've just brought it up and voted the same day, so you didn't have time to think or discuss or anything like that. Where I think
that's why I'm bringing it up now.
Yeah, I think we need to have I think we just now need to have a show every month, at least one a month, and then the next couple shows we need to talk about and write some things down. So that then by the time we get to, normally June or whatever, when we do the final, hey, these are going to be the rules. This is the draft day. This is what's going on. We're ready to vote and or, steer the ship in the right direction at that point. But I don't think we really haven't any major rule changes though, other than the keeper thing in a while. So was there any problems or issues anybody can think of that they thought?
Yeah, actually got one. Just that something that we should think about that we ran into this year, and I mean it even happened the year before, but players that stopped their participation in the league and just figuring out what to do with their team. Like if we just kind of have like a standard rule set, like, hey, once we notice this is happening, like walk their team, and then if we
need to
have
at least something in writing, something we need to, and I think that we even discussed that. Even though we have our rules, we need to write them down, make sure we have something in writing.
And I think as the new co-commissioner, it's his job to write down the rules.
Yeah, that's I'm so good at writing.
I'm here to earn my stripes, right?
Right. We need a sergeant at arms. We need an English teacher.
That's the only. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, it's 9:28, and I'm here on this podcast because you guys were generous enough to let me in. I'm earning my stripes. I'm earning your respect back.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that we need to have a rule in place. That way it's not just random anytime it happens.
Here's the problem. Kevin actually made that an easier decision. If we had a player that was willing to step in, what would we have done? And I think that needs to be it, which we need to decide.
Well,
some of us thought that we should set the league, set that guy's lineup every week. Other people thought, no, just leave it the way it is.
I'll say this. If I was in the league and like say I'm Clint, and then I'm Clint and Clay, and my team, Garrett's team, quits, and Clint beats me, I'm Garrett, and then you give the team, and then I then go and beat Clay. And everybody's beat me before. Like I did that to some people
but I'd rather that than people get guaranteed wins, essentially, or not necessarily guaranteed, but
if seven people have already got that win.
Well, but that's the problem. I don't think we should ever let it get to 7. That's the point. We only let it get to a couple of weeks.
But if we have a rule in place, then we can't get mad about it.
Yeah,
because the rule's in place, and then it's set.
And I think the other issue with with the voting and everything, people needed to consider the vote for the league, not for the season. And I think that was another issue too, is people were thinking, oh, well, I play Garrett. If he doesn't set his lineup, I'll get a win, instead of thinking of like adding Kevin, who has been a great addition to finish out the season, and hopefully going forward, he's really added to this league. Right. So that was my whole point of adding him in the first place. I didn't really care about this particular season and how it affected. If you lose, you lose. Sorry. I don't want people to just get free wins. I'd rather just have someone in the league that will, be an active member.
It worked out this time because we had someone to step in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That may not happen the next time. So we need to know, is the lineup going to be set, or is the lineup going to change every week? And then it's just a matter. Everybody would have to be. I'm a believer in the lineup should just be locked. Period. However it was the last time, and that's fine, Mego. You can shake your head, because that's my point. We all should, there should be arguments. Then we would vote, and I would go with the group. But I believe when that commissioner stopped, that's the way his league, his team should be frozen. Then. Because then there's no commissioner saying, well, I think we should at least set a lineup or put his starters in. No, I think that's worse personally. If I'm going to get beat, I'd rather get beat by a lineup the original guy just set and was stuck there, rather than knowing that people moved it around. But I agree. I've seen both sides, and I've been in leagues that do it both ways. I've been in leagues where the commissioner sets the lineup based on the best players for that week, based on whatever ESPN says or whatever. And I've been in leagues where no, it's just locked. Boom. You can't do anything,
I would honestly, personally, rather, now that especially we have 2 commissioners, you two figure out the lineup and go with it, because I would rather play somebody that is actually playing to win, as opposed to playing, okay, this is locked out, and he's got 2 players that aren't playing this week. Okay, I've got a guaranteed win.
Yeah, but
the next week, he's got these players in that he would have to move or not move, and I don't know. I like it better.
Clint,
also, the issue I see. Go ahead.
I don't disagree with that, Clint. That's actually a really good idea, because, like, if you quit the league and I play you, I'm just like, this week's not interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Also,
play.
but you also have to think about the part of like if you're, let's say Magle whatever leaves, and me and Kevin are tied for the last playoff spot, and Kevin plays Magle and gets essentially an easy win and knocks me out of the playoffs just because a lineup wasn't set.
And you're going to be pissed.
Yeah, and it's not even it's affecting the league in multiple stages because let's say if Magle had set his lineup, he would have beat you, and I would have made it in, but I get knocked out on a technicality because there was an unset lineup.
But that's what I'm saying. If you have two commissioners, you guys pick the best lineup. Hold on, and let Kevin finish. I'd like Kevin to finish what he was saying.
But I agree with that, and maybe this is part of the plan. You guys go in, work that lineup with the players that person has available. Mm-hmm. Don't let them add and drop and pick up players.
I agree. Yeah.
It wouldn't be any adding. It would just be essentially going off, either projection or whatever it might be.
And yes, if they've got Lamar Jackson and he's out and then he has a bye, then yes, maybe you move him out just to keep it competitive. Now, the only problem you would run into there would be if that team makes it pretty far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Or even gets into the playoffs, which, again, to me would be another thing you'd have to debate. Yeah. Should a team that has been abandoned even be allowed to make it to the playoffs? See, my argument would be that it couldn't even make it, meaning if it was abandoned, even if he earned that spot, you drop him and the next guy that would have made it goes in.
I would agree with that as well.
I'd agree with that.
Now, the good thing is, I think right now we have 12 pretty solid owners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean fantasy gets pretty emotional. It doesn't mean someone doesn't get pissed off and just quit in the middle of the season. That's more likely than somebody not wanting to play. I think Garrett was more of I just didn't like it or wasn't what I thought it was. I think now we're more into, Brody taking his ball and going home and crying.
Jimmy's the only one that would be – it's always the issue with that second year, and Jimmy's the only one that's coming up on his second year. Everyone else has been in at least more than one.
Right. And Jimmy bought in, I think.
No, and I'm not worried about Jimmy either.
Yeah, me neither.
Be good.
Hey,
what did you have to say?
The year that somebody looked at me and go, I'm taking Demaryius Thomas with the first-round pick.
Zach?
Just because I want to piss you off, Kevin.
Yeah, but that wasn't the best. That was the best.
I was irate. I was halfway out the door at Megle's house.
Yeah, you traded him Antonio Brown then.
I wanted Demaryius Thomas.
Because you're such an emotionalist player. That's good. That's good. TJ, you said you have something else to discuss?
Yeah, well, I was just going to actually add to the point I brought up. I didn't get a chance to say what I was actually thinking, but I was kind of with you, Mark, on locking the team. Basically lock it and say like, hey, if we don't find a player by this upcoming Friday, then the team just stays locked. Now, Magle brings up a decent point, but I guess my only argument is like, not that I don't trust you, Mark, or you, Clay, but if your guys' team is playing against that team that's been not taken care of anymore, or if that team's playing a team that you need to lose, you might put a little bit more effort into.
See, that's where I think it's different. I understand, right? If it's one of us playing, it seems that way, but people don't realize in fantasy, you might not even be involved, but it still is a factor in your team.
Yeah,
which makes it hard.
Well,
that's why we have two commissioners.
Also, that I would add that
they both may need them to lose, though.
Yeah, but also our league is pretty watchdoggy when it comes to stuff, and if they see something that they don't agree with or they think is an issue, they would.
We would set the best lineup based on numbers. We'd be able to say we did it because ESPN said. Now, my problem is ESPN is pretty fucked up.
And that's the thing is that
it opens it up for argument. Is what I'm saying.
Or that would just be the rule. The rule would just be whatever ESPN's rating is, the highest rated guy based on ESPN goes in. Period. End of story. Then it doesn't matter. There's no discrepancy. You're just if that guy's rated higher this week in points, that's who's got to be in the lineup.
That's exactly how I would do it.
I agree.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, no, I was just going to say, because I could sit there and go, if you two are trying to fix a lineup and I have Emmanuel Sanders and Allen Robinson, well, I might think Emmanuel Sanders is better, and you might think it's gonna. I mean,
but see, like what Mark was saying, they give you the projection of like, hey, he's projected 12.4 points. We would strictly go off of what that projection is and put the top numbers in there. No questions asked. It doesn't matter if they have.
The key would be if two people were projected to score 14 points.
That's what I was going to.
Then we'd have to go down and say, okay, Clay, it's 14 points each. Which one do you want? That type thing, maybe. But, I don't think we're going to run it. I don't think we're going to run into it. We just need to have it written down so when it happens, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, I would at that point. I don't care. I'd flip a coin and say heads or tails. Whatever. I'm not. And I don't think it's never been an issue with me in this league of using my commissioner power to cheat and try and get ahead or anything like that. So
then never mind. Then I don't want to be a commissioner.
That's not something I would ever do, because that would just piss people off and people wouldn't even want to do fantasy football in the league anymore if they start thinking I'm cheating. So I don't know.
I agree. I think we'll figure it out. I see both ways. That's why I said, if we want to have the discussion at some point, though, we just need to vote on it. And the majority, we go that route. I'm not going to be pissed one way or the other, because I think both ways work as long as we know that's the rule.
Yeah. And I wanted to play devil's advocate too. I'm not saying either you guys would cheat, but I just wanted to bring up I understand. You know what I'm saying. If
Brody and Zach was running the league, that'd be different.
If Brody was, anybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even. Will Brody be allowed to do anything by the time fantasy football comes around? He's not been allowed to do anything for like 2 months, 3 months now.
He should be about done with his house, though.
Well, that's not the problem.
Are you ever done with a house?
No.
Exactly. That's the point. Young kids don't realize that.
My problem is I've got like 6 of them. So.
Well, that is your problem. I agree.
Yeah, and you're about to start helping me with mine.
And I've just added Clay's, so.
Brody must think the coronavirus can transfer through the Ethernet cords. That's why he's not doing any of this too. So
no, Brody's bought into that. I'm sure Brody's just bought into the, don't. Again, I don't think Big E lets him do anything anymore. She let him do enough stuff for a while, and now they got 2 kids. Now they're married. She has those gold balls in her pocket, and
well, the sad part is she can probably beat the shit out of them. So
she could beat the shit out of them.
And they're both small. So
all right, real quick, we'll do because I didn't want this to be a long. We're already at 41 minutes. What's the biggest? I'll start with you, TJ. We'll just go around the thing. Your biggest fantasy football news. What big trade? What thing is you think affects fantasy so far, in your opinion, this year?
The Steelers are thinking about drafting Chase Claypool, so I might draft him this year.
I got you. So that's your big thing. All right. I love where people just buy in. All that matters is their team, not even fantasy. Clay, what about you? What do you think's happened so far?
I mean, Emmanuel Sanders to the Saints, obviously.
Something told me that you were going to go the same route, right? Yeah. Your team.
Honestly, though, just as a team, that whole team looks better because it opens up the field for Michael Thomas and Kamara and Drew Brees, and that has finally a second weapon to throw to.
Do you think it hurts Michael Thomas? Not that he's still probably not a number 1 pick. I think it drops him a little bit.
No,
I don't think it's going to drop him out of the first round, but I do think for the first time in a while, there's another target.
It's like completion percentage. Even if he won't get the record-breaking targets or receptions that he got, but he's still 96% of the balls thrown his way he catches. So if he drops down to 101 catches, he's still a top receiver.
I get it. Right. He's still a number
I'm not worried
1.
about it. I just think he'll be even more open.
Right. Okay. TJ's son. What? Give me some some Broncos thing. What's your big fantasy take so far of the off season?
I guess it's not necessarily taken. It's not Broncos related. It's 2 things. It's just, and they're kind of more like thoughts. Is Chris Godwin going to have as good of a year this year as he did last year? And who are they going to put at running back to fit the way Tom Brady likes to play. Because Tom Brady's not
They're going to draft somebody.
I know, but he's not a hand the ball off, and I mean they do, but he's so used to James White and those little guys running and
I bet they draft J.K. Dobbins, or the Ohio State guy. I could see them taking him as someone just catching the backfield, dump off passes, and then they'll use Godwin as kind of like Emmanuel or Julian Edelman.
Those are my two watch guys. Like who?
Yeah,
because
they're not going to throw the ball for 1,000 yards or whatever like Jameis did. So I think Mike Evans takes a hit.
Yeah. I put over here too, guys, and we can talk about it later because I want Nagel to go and whatnot. But who was the best off-season signing? The Saints getting Sanders, the Broncos getting Gordon, or the Falcons getting Gurley? We can talk about that.
Falcons get Gurley. Magel, what's your number one fantasy take in the offseason? Which I'm excited to hear this because Magel, I think for the first time, Magel's interested in the offseason. Magel really, I don't think started fantasy football until about 3 days before the draft. And now that he's a champion, I got a feeling he's paid more attention.
I paid a little more attention last year, a little bit before the draft. Clay and I got together on some stuff, and Dally helped me out. But the one I'm really, and Brackman hit on it, it's Brady going to Tampa Bay. That really throws me for a loop. I don't know. That could go a lot of different ways with Godwin. I mean, it really could. So, and I've got him as a really good keeper late rounds.
Well, I still think where you have him, he's still a good keeper. I don't think this changed his keeper value a whole lot. But maybe Brackman will answer this because great mind that I am. I could not get a trade done with Kevin for so long. But Kevin, did I not tell you? Because, and I finally convinced Jimmy at one point, but trading draft picks, a draft pick is so much more valuable, in my opinion, than a keeper is. Because in the offseason, things can happen where that guy you think's a great keeper is no longer a great keeper. But once you trade someone a fourth or a second or a first round draft pick, that pick never changes. You get to pick who you want the day of the draft. And I still had a few people that could not accept that. They, in their mind, that keeper had so much value to them that the draft spot didn't. And I think this offseason has proven it more than ever that weird things can happen, crazy things can happen, and quickly who you think could be a great keeper is a so-so keeper. And a so-so keeper could maybe not even be a keeper anymore. Because of draft picks, who the team drafts or a trade or things like that. And, I tried to sell that as I wasn't lying to Kevin when I was telling him that. I was being honest because I truly told you that exact thing, didn't I, Kevin? Yeah. That the value of a pick never changes, but the value of a keeper can change because in fantasy, it's out of your control once the offseason starts. So,
we talked about that for about a week and a half, and there was a point in that time where you almost had me pulling the trigger.
Well, and I think if anything, it's proven in this offseason things like that can happen. But
that's why every year.
But if you have 2 number 1 draft picks, Kevin Brackman, that wouldn't have changed. You would have had those picks. But
I was just thinking I'm going to have that guy next yeyear.
Okay, I know what you're thinking.
And his value was so and. Whoever I would get with that number 1 pick, I'm not going to get.
But we also had that argument though. Draft picks don't hurt their knees. Draft picks don't have.
What's the trade you guys are talking about?
Well, it doesn't matter anymore. He didn't accept it, but he was offered. Kevin Brackman was offered a number 1 draft pick.
And you didn't take it? That's crazy.
He did not take it.
Yeah. That's why every year I trade keepers for draft picks.
I really think Kevin at one point almost hit the okay button, but he would text me back.
I just couldn't do it. Like I was so caught up in the fact that I was working other trades around the guy you wanted.
I know.
And I felt like I really wanted Courtland Sutton. And I thought I had him, and then Jimmy just trades him to Zach.
I know for what wasn't even close to some of the stuff I know you were offered.
I was offered in the kitchen sink, and Zach goes, Here's this. Oh yeah, sure, click.
And that was the night before. That's when we decided that was a crazy night. And I think Clay went to bed early. Some of us were up until 2 or 3 in the morning trying to make deals.
Yeah,
because the trade deadline was at noon and everybody knew we had to go to work.
Oh, I was too.
That was one of the most fun. Now that I think about it, the trade deadline being at noon actually made that happen, or made that possible, that people were staying up all night trying to make deals, where if the deadline would have been at midnight, it would have just stopped. Everybody would have gone to bed at 12:01. So maybe we need to make the trade deadline like 6:30 a.m. or something, so that people can still get to work on time. But
plus you can hit the drunks up because they get shit faced and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll make this dumb trade, and here you go."
And that was fun because that deadline, everything happened the night of a podcast. Remember, we actually podcasted that night, and then we just kept going afterwards. A couple of them said we should have just stayed on the air, but the problem is everybody was talking privately. Everybody had more than one conversation going on too, Kevin, didn't we? There's, you were talking to Jimmy, Zach, and me, I'm pretty sure.
At one time. I was talking to all three of you because you were trying to get my guys.
So it made it fun. So TJ, you said you had another fantasy thing that happened. What did you want to say?
Oh, I wanted to ask Magel, you had Jameis Winston too, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Were you even thinking about keeping him?
No, not at all.
Never mind, then that didn't affect it.
No.
Yeah, I quarterbacks as keepers to me are a little questionable anyway. So.
I didn't know where he got him at.
No,
so
I'm still keeping Godwin. It just it throws it off a little bit. I mean, I still think he's going to be a great number 2 receiver, but I don't know. It threw a loop in it when Brady went there. I'm just like, okay.
I'm excited about Gurley going to the Falcons. I really am. I'm a Gurley guy anyway, and I think he showed last year he still has something in the tank.
That doesn't bother me either.
Emmanuel Sanders thing, I don't know.
I will say the honestly, I think the biggest move would be Hopkins to Arizona.
I was
not being a Saints fan.
I think Arizona's made the most moves. I think Arizona,
that trade actually has changed what I'm considering doing with keepers, because I thought I had it set and everything, and now I'm kind of reevaluating, because I don't see myself keeping Christian Kirk now, who I thought with good value and everything, but I don't see him having any value now as a keeper.
And then all the Broncos running backs. I'm sorry, I'm not even a fan of Gordon right now. I mean, Gordon right now with all the running backs that they have there. I don't think they're going to use him like the Chargers did 2 years ago. You can shake your head. I don't think they are. I still think they like the young kid.
I agree with you. I don't think they will either.
No, they love Phillip Lindsay. Don't get me wrong. They love Phillip Lindsay.
Well, and that's all it takes.
I still have Freeman too.
That's why I'd rather have I think Gurley is going to go back to playing 3 downs again.
I think Gurley could get a bunch of Austin Hooper's receptions too. I could see them dumping it down, because they tried to make Ito Smith a good running back, which is crazy. Yeah, so now that they have Gurley,
that's based off of injuries too. Though.
What about Cook? What about Cook's now going to Texas? He's now number 1.
The way Bill O'Brien uses.
He has proven if he stays on the field, he's valuable.
Yeah, but how sure are we that Bill O'Brien won't trade Watson away for like a 4th round pick or something? The way he's been managing that team,
right? I'd love for him to be in our fantasy league. He seems to.
Oh God, I know. I would love to see him and Alex Wilson try and work out a trade. That would be the greatest thing in the world, I think.
Right. It's it's questionable.
All right.
I don't know. I still think the biggest trade yet to happen, and that's the Bengals trading away that number 1 pick, and that I'm still hoping for that.
We pissed TJ off.
All right. Here's a question for you. Who has the bigger year?
Now you had the question. Now you got to think of the players.
I'm looking at the NFL's Instagram and all the signings. Amari Cooper and just because they re-signed him in Dallas, or Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Diggs.
I guess it comes down to who would I draft first in fantasy. Yeah, obviously it would depend on where they go. I would say I'd rather Cooper is going to go higher than Diggs.
Yeah, but
Amari
I would rather
Cooper's
have
going to be a higher
Diggs.
draft pick.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen to me is the sleeper this year. Who's got him? Has anybody got him as a keeper? I don't even know. I forgot to look. Which
no,
now,
I
that
think,
might be
I
the
think
thing.
someone just he was picked up in free agency, I believe. So he's like
Has-
a round pick.
Has ESPN allowed you to open the league where we could open it?
No.
And people can see rosters and we
No.
just don't allow trades?
No,
Because that's what pissed me off right now. Right now, you can't go in and look at your roster.
yeah, because I just want to see
I
who
was
has
just trying to
who.
look at.
Yeah, pisses
So I
me.
have to keep going back to the draft board, but even that's not.
Which reminds me,
Only
I was going to say
today.
that I have the draft board picture somewhere. You probably need to retext that out or
Mhm.
put that back in the chat once in a while in the next week or two.
Nah.
We probably all need to see it. But
Why? So then people know trade wise.
well, yeah, just so people can.
I have it. That's all that matters.
Because we can't see. It just pissed me off. I can't go see for right now. You could make a trade anyway because ESPN's got it locked down. Do you
Yeah,
guys
we
watch? As soon as TJ come back, we'll do the last question and we'll be done.
All right.
Do you? I'll start with Kevin. Kevin, do you watch the NFL draft? Is that a big thing for you?
Yeah, I watch it.
Yeah.
What, Magel? Do you watch it at all?
I watch, not much of it. No, I'm
right.
usually pretty busy in the spring, mushroom hunting, and hopefully I'll be turkey hunting. Hopefully this little lockdown ends, and
so you don't even watch the first night. It's Thursday night. You don't even just watch.
No, I'll watch the first night.
All right. TJ, are you a fan? Or do you watch the NFL draft? Is that a thing for you?
No, not usually.
All right. See, to me now, I'm excited to see how it's going to work this year without no one being there. I
wonder how trades are going to work.
I don't think ESPN does it as well as some of the other networks and some of the other podcast people that go a little more in depth for the fantasy value of the draft. So I watch a couple of different shows, but I am pretty excited to watch this year just to see how they're going to do it without no one being there. It's kind of.
Do you think people are going to run out of time?
Yeah, but I think they've already kind of set aside that they're going to give a little leeway on that.
Oh, did they? Yeah, because the last time
Yeah.
I heard they weren't extending their draft time at all.
Well, I don't think they're now. I know they're still leaving it. I think to the 15 minutes. But if there is a trade or something, I think they've already told them if you tell us there is truly something in the works, we'll give you a little bit because we know the communications isn't the same. You're not in the same building anymore. You know.
Yeah, I wonder if there will be like a lack of trades. I really just think people won't be trading. You know, we might not see any trades. I wouldn't be surprised in the first round we don't see any trades.
I've just real quick. I've got the board up right now. Do you want me to put it on Messenger? Or?
You can if you got it.
Yeah, I've got it.
Post it whenever. And
because I didn't realize, and I have been busy. And who'd you say? What running back went to Atlanta?
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. He's not a keeper.
Yeah, he's not keep. He was drafted too early.
No, I'm just thinking about one of my receivers.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I asked about running back.
I'm liking Ridley now real well.
Yeah. And hey, their tight end left and went to the Browns, so there's a bunch of open targets now.
Yeah.
I like Ridley a lot this year.
And the Browns got a quarterback now. They don't have to
They have
rely
an
on
O-line.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So since I got third from last year, or second from last, whatever it was.
Doesn't matter. With draft position, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
No.
We do it random.
Mm-hmm.
In years
Hopefully I
past,
get
we've
one
done it
again.
like the NBA lottery pick and kind of given more value to last place and second to last and third to last. Do it that way. But last year we did it just everyone has one ball, and we just do a lottery pick with it. And then from there, that's not where you end up. It's where you get to select where you want to pick. So if you get the first pick, you can pick if you want the 8th pick or whatever. You can decide.
If you get the first ball, you get to say, I want to pick 1st or 12th or 8th.
Yeah. What if you did everybody who didn't make the playoffs gets 2 balls?
And that's something we can vote at the league. I personally like giving more value.
I don't care.
I say
in the past,
anybody that wasn't good enough to make the playoff, they shouldn't even get a fucking ball.
I
agree. And they possibly got more keepers because of trades.
Oh, that is true.
I mean,
that is true. TJ's
but
I like the way we do it now.
But again, I like giving more value to people that didn't make the playoffs because their whole thing was they were building for the future. So, let them have, this is the everyone that made.
I traded Brody some guys just to stack myself this year.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So then you don't make playoffs. You should have a better chance at. Why should Magel get the first overall pick after winning? He shouldn't. And he has all these keepers.
But if he stacked himself, why should he need 2 balls instead of 1?
Yeah, I agree. I'm an idiot. Yeah, forgive me.
I'm an idiot.
I don't know.
Wow.
I've always liked that they get more
rest.
Higher picks.
We had
you raised me well, Dad.
My point was, here's what I said last year, and I think, and maybe with 2 commissioners we can start come up with something. I originally said last year that it should start with everyone gets 1 ball, but then we add balls to your team throughout the season and or take away balls throughout the season as penalty. To me, that was a way to do some things. And it could be as simple as if you show up to a podcast, you get a ball. You know what? If you don't line up 1 week, you lose a ball. And then
emergency stuff that happens where that is like if something came up and hey, I can't, or someone has work or something that they can't.
Okay, they just can't be here. It doesn't mean that you still won't win the league. That's my point. It's a little reward or a little penalty.
Well, you're just saying that because you host it too, so you automatically are going to get a ball every week.
Well, and plus you're just acting like a wife now.
No. I'm gonna take your balls in my
hand. You're just taking the balls away from us.
No. Yeah, Clay, what do you care about more? Fantasy football?
I brought that up long before we even had a podcast. I just said, if you're active in the league, every time you were active, or it could come down to us, which again, Clay would say this is, if you make a trade, both of you get another ball. That means you did something. If you post a legit question or a legit statement on the message board, you get a ball. That's all my thing was, that it's a very simple.
But that would also give people.
We already know. Just because you have 10 more balls than anybody else still doesn't mean you're going to get pulled first.
People will trade. People will trade like Ito Smith for Landry Jones. Hey, man, I made a trade.
Trade to trade.
No, I do like the idea. I just think we fine tune it to where it's something that is. I don't know. Like, I think if you don't set your lineup or something, you have people that are inactive in your lineup, you would lose a ball. Like that kind of stuff.
But you can't lose balls unless there's ways to get balls.
No, I know. That's the thing is we would have to come up with something that is like.
And to be real honest,
you start with 10 and you can take them away.
Yeah, honest, I like that.
I think it should either be rewarded somehow like that, and or the way we do it, which is just 1 ball. It's a new season, guys. I mean, I realize we have keepers and all that, but it's still random. It's still, again, because Magel can get the first ball, and if he wants to pick first, he picks first. If he wants to pick 12th, he picks 12th. I mean, I don't think him winning the Super Bowl really is a factor going to make it that big a difference. So
yeah, and I mean, if he managed his team well enough to have the keepers he has, and he won the Super Bowl, then good on him.
Right, good on you, Magel.
Yeah.
Where's your mug there? Where's the goblet?
Right next to me.
All right. Anything else made? We have been now. We're going to be right at an hour. Anything else major that we need to discuss?
Did you guys watch Tiger King?
Vote Brody out of the league. Everyone say aye.
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 I really thought we'd have more votes than that.
Aye.
That poor guy. Poor Brody.
Yeah. Well, the 2 commissioners said it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, the 2 commissioners agree that we could just go with that. Be done. Should we try?
When do we want to set a league meeting? Like trying to set it up, for we usually do in July?
Usually, I thought we want to start trying in June. I thought
it might have been in June last year.
June? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, so we could do another podcast next month.
My goal would be that we do another podcast each month. I'll listen. As long as 3 people show up, we'll talk something.
I agree with it.
Next time we have one, we'll be able to talk about who drafted who and all that kind of stuff. So the draft would.
So let's do one next in May for post draft kind of stuff, and then I say June. The one in June we do our league meeting, and everyone kind of not necessarily make it mandatory.
That means the one in May we need to know for sure what kind of rules we're going to change, if any, and and discuss them a little bit.
Oh, June
Mhm.
can even be like meeting number 1. See what
But
we get accomplished, and July can be the second one.
Yeah.
I think we need to just have
Yeah,
one meeting.
well,
And one of them needs to be a real
Well,
meeting.
yeah, I was
We're
gonna say
going to
one
have
meeting,
the
'cause it's hard enough
podcast
to get
anyway.
people.
Well,
Go
I
ahead.
Well, I'm
feel-
saying it's hard enough to get everyone to show up. So I'd rather just do it a one-time thing. It'll be a lot
I
easier to
agree.
get people to
Right.
commit to one.
I still
But-
would like to try to
Or
make
they won't
the
even
June
commit to
meeting.
that.
I would still like to make the June meeting an in-person type thing, but no one shows up. I mean,
Yeah.
there's something
Yeah, well, we
about
could. I mean,
having
depending
a
on how things
pizza,
go,
drinking a
we
beer,
don't know if we can.
and
I don't mind doing the meeting on the podcast simply because I think more people will show
Will
up
show
for
up.
it.
I agree. I agree.
And
I think
that's my
the way
whole
it's
thing is
gotta
I want
happen.
more than 4 people.
Right. And I just think when we do it
Yeah,
that
we got
way,
5 here.
I think when we
Mhm.
schedule the June meeting, though, we need to do it at a time where we know people can spend an hour or two and not going, well, I got to leave in in 5 minutes.
Instead of doing it a Tuesday night, we might want to do it on like a Sunday afternoon,
All right.
like we
like we would
usually
a real
do.
meeting. I agree. I'm good for that.
Still keep it like that. That would be easier for me because I wouldn't have to be in the
I agree.
laundry room
Nagel-
hiding. So
in
I don't
between
wake the
Nagel
baby.
turkey hunting.
And it'd
Yeah.
have to be after 3 because
Turkey
I got
season
work.
be over.
Oh, who cares about you? TJ's got way too damn
I'm
many.
just saying, I got
Oh.
opinions and I want them to be heard.
All
have-
you got to do is pull over and jump on your phone. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Go sit behind the school somewhere and fall
Yeah,
asleep.
Well,
Pretend
it's
like you're asleep like other
it's
officers.
hard to see your guys' faces then.
Do like Jimmy did half the time driving home, and he was on
Yeah.
on the podcast driving.
That's super safe.
I really thought Jimmy. I haven't seen Jimmy in the chat room for a while.
Mhm. So yeah, let's.
Brody, Kyle. I haven't seen most of them have not participated a whole lot. Zach's girlfriend. He took Tylen to the hospital tonight. She's having she's
Corona.
got a bad kidney infection.
Jeez.
No.
So Mark, then will you help me try and basically get everyone on the podcast, like hunt them down and bug the hell out of them like I usually do?
Especially for the June
Alright.
one.
For the June one, just until just bug them until they commit to it and
Yeah.
get everyone in. And Monday or in May, we'll do kind of like I said, talking about the draft and any new rule changes. And
All right.
Hey, Mark, put me on
propose
your
them on May.
Put me
And
on
vote
yours.
in June.
put me on your list because I'll be there anyway. So that way, Clay will have more people to hunt down.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. I've got TJ. I've got Brackman. I've got Magel. Clay,
Yeah.
you can get the rest.
Well, I
Okay,
also
cool.
think it's
Sounds good.
hilarious. Clay thinks people listen to Mark better.
Hey, I don't care. At least then I can say it wasn't my fault. I can blame Mark for them not
Probably
showing up.
we both need to
That's
bug
fair
everybody.
then. That's fair.
Yeah,
All
no, that's fine. Just because, not everyone responds to me.
If
so.
anything, though, I do think, though, as soon as we can open, as soon as ESPN allows the league to be open, I think we should open it, but not allow trades until we decide for sure.
That's
Because
fine.
that way, once the
I
league
don't think they open it till like June, anyways.
Yeah, I know. So, because once the league's open, then that's when you can give me commissioner, information. But
Mhm.
from there, we can post things on the league board and all that too. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, thanks for coming out. Brackman, glad to see you that you're a Buckeye again for a while. TJ, glad to see you on day shift. Mago, I enjoyed the goblet. Clay, are you is the baby sleeping through the night?
Basically, he wakes up at like 4 a.m. to feed, goes back to bed, and then he sleeps until we get up in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Mine,
sleeping through.
mine does that, and she's 2.
Yeah, he's 4 months. He rolled over. He can roll over, and he's playing peekaboo. He's like a genius. Kid. We're gonna start doing. We're gonna do multiplication. I think next week.
Pretty soon.
Well,
All right.
yeah,
Mhm.
Are you sure it's yours?
Are you sure?
No, it's definitely not mine. He is black too, so
There is.
Hey, Clay, don't feel bad because I got to go in and rub Dally's back at like 4:30 to get ready.
oh yeah, give him a nice glass of milk.
All right.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be known. My whole life, I've been amazed by Clay's handwriting.
hmm
I really hope that he gets that after you.
yeah. He
Oh,
Well,
you're hoping
in my
his
speech
handwriting-
impediment.
His
That's
handwriting's
weird.
horrible.
His handwriting is
Yeah.
horrible.
I know Kevin's being an ass.
Kevin is
He probably honestly has better handwriting than I
Already?
than I do as well. Yeah,
All right. It's been
whatever. Guys, thanks for coming on.
yeah.
We'll see you sometime next month for people who tuned in and listen to this bullshit. But it was fun to get together again. Everybody be safe. Wash your hands after masturbation because you don't know, don't want you to get any virus out there. So take it easy. We'll see you later, guys. Say goodnight.
Good night.
See you.
Good night.
Good night.
I don't think it was supposed to happen like that where Mark left right away.
Yeah, usually he stays on.
I
No.
know. I was expecting some after show talking. It
Well.
still says live.
Well,
I don't know. All right.
we're on. That's how it goes. So I'm gonna go grab another beer.
I know. I had to grab another whiskey and Coke.
Yeah, I'm gonna go hide in the basement by myself. I have to actually work tomorrow. So
All right. I'll see you.
all right, see you, TJ.